Hello, everyone. Welcome to another BUFF event. Today, I'm very excited. We have PoolTogether, a no-loss lottery blockchain application on the Ethereum network. I'm a very happy user, so I'm very excited to have Leighton here with us. Lucas Cohorst from Blockchain at RIT is our moderator for the day. Lucas, you can take it away and introduce Leighton.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to thank Cameron and PG and then Alexis for organizing this, as well as Leighton for being here with us today. PoolTogether is an awesome product. A little bit about me. So yeah, PG mentioned I'm from Blockchain at RIT, and I also work at Foundry, which is a DCG company focused on mining and staking there. So Leighton's the co-founder of PoolTogether, which is an open source software company, and he's an early contributor to PoolTogether protocol. And Leighton also co-founded Kindred, which is a fintech company focused on mobile donation process, which is cool how you can see the parallels there within the PoolTogether product. Lives in Brooklyn and is passionate about building decentralized software. So I guess kind of just like a quick intro, Leighton, just like any other thing you had, along with just like a general overview of PoolTogether and prize-linked lotteries and stuff like that, and no-loss lotteries. I'm not sure how many people necessarily get that idea because it's kind of like a novel idea.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, first off, well, thanks so much for having me, and super excited to chat with you guys. And yeah, I hope people have questions. I love working in the crypto space. It's super fun, but I know it's also, there's a lot of information and there's a lot of jargon. And so if you don't understand anything or if you have questions, there's no stupid questions. So please ask. But yeah, so sort of to pick up where Lucas left off, what PoolTogether Inc. has done is basically we have built essentially an app on Ethereum. I think that's the easy way to think about it, right? So like Ethereum is sort of like the app store. Bitcoin's sort of like the digital gold. And what the PoolTogether protocol that's built on Ethereum, what specifically it enables is the creation and management of no-loss lotteries or prize savings accounts. And so this idea of like a no-loss lottery has actually been around for about like 400 years. Yeah, 400 years. It was invented, I think in the UK. And the basic idea is it's like a savings account where you deposit money and you can take your money out whenever you want. You don't lose your money. But instead of earning like a small interest return, everyone's interest from all of the deposits is combined and randomly given out to one person or a few people, depending on how that no-loss lottery is set up. So it's it sounds at first, it sounds kind of gimmicky, but it actually is a super interesting and differentiated economic concept because it's the only economic tool that lets people have a chance for an exponential return without having to risk their principal. And so these are really popular in the real world, as we say. So there's like $100 billion locked in no-loss lotteries by tens of millions of people all around the world. They're not super popular in the United States. And basically, we just thought that this was a super compelling consumer financial product. And we also thought it would work way better if it was built on the blockchain. And so that's what we've done with PoolTogether.
Yeah. I think that's super cool. And actually, the one application that I've heard of that's in the U.S. Relating to prize-linked lotteries is Yada Bank. They've just recently funded by Y Combinator, I think. And it's the same idea. You come in and you actually like pick lottery tickets, right. And you just have your principal in there. And then if your lottery tickets win, you get the actual return, which I thought was super cool. One, they got funded and stuff, but that's kind of like bringing it here. Although I think, PoolTogether has a lot more advantages on top of it. And I'm specifically talking about some recently released products being, Pods was a little bit ago, but also like loot box and stuff. So I guess for, can you just like quickly give an overview of those two new products on top of it?
Yeah, wait, so you said pods and loot boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, what's really cool about bringing no-loss lotteries onto the blockchain is that it becomes permissionless, it becomes programmable, it becomes composable. You can integrate it into different things. And so, a few things that we've worked on along those lines. One is pods, where basically people can combine their deposits together and then all split the prize they win. So, imagine you have $1 billion in a prize pool. It's going to have $1 million in a weekly prize. And, but if you only deposit $100, you don't have a very high chance to win. So what a pod does is enables you to like pool it's sort of a pool within the pool. It enables you to like pool your deposits with your friends, family, coworkers. And then if you win, you split the prize. And then that's the pods. The loot box is also very, very cool and a very crypto native thing, where basically what it enables is anyone in the world can add additional prizes to the prizes that are being given away, which you may think like, why would anyone do that? But it's sort of a cool way to like essentially reach a broader audience. So popular decentralized finance applications in terms of the number of people who use it. And so for people who want to promote a new protocol or an artist who wants to promote themselves, they can just add their tokens permissionlessly to the prize, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think the pods idea is super cool because once you get to a certain extent, the amount of rewards that like one individual gets across the entire thing is like so absurd. But then the amount of reward that I'd get as someone that only has like 50 or $100 in it is so small, right? It actually starts to feel like the actual lottery in a sense. But like pods kind of opens that up for everyone to kind of get a little bit of the reward. So I think that's really great.
Right. Yeah.
Also launched recently was the builder, the pool builder. Yeah. So if you could talk about that a little bit, I guess, and then the integration with Barn Bridge, right?
Yeah. So yeah, and I don't know how like crypto native the audience is. So yeah. I try not to do too much jargon, but the prize pool builder, what's cool about that is basically it's essentially a way for anyone to spin up to create on Ethereum their own no loss prize savings account. And so it's really cool because like you could essentially do one with your friends or family. If you're like a bank, you could do one. If you're like, obviously in like 5 years, like national governments will be doing this. And so it's basically a way to turn this into like a true decentralized finance primitive where people can really be fully permissionless and free to like adapt it and create what they want out of it. So that's the prize pool builder. You can check that out, builder.pooltogether.com. And then, so that's the builder. And then Barn Bridge. Yeah. So Barn Bridge is the first protocol to really utilize this. So basically Barn Bridge created a prize pool for their bond token. And so you can deposit bond. Again, it's no loss. You can take your bond out whenever you want to, but while your bond's deposited, you have a chance to win prizes. Right now they're giving away like $5,000 a week. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, no, I think it's a super cool way, kind of, or not dissimilar from just like liquidity mining something, right? Because it's a great way of like getting people involved into the protocol. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go at the chat here. So right. Talon's kind of asking just like the core idea of the of PoolTogether, and I guess maybe I kind of glossed over that really quickly, but it is a pretty like very innovative idea. I think if I were to say the core idea, like at a more missional perspective, right? The core idea is helping people become financially healthy, right? So if you think about the tools that are currently available for people, they usually fall in two categories. There are tools that are like very boring to use, but they're financially healthy. So like a savings account, like investing in index funds, bonds, things like that. And then there's financial tools that are really fun to use, but are very financially unhealthy, which is like credit cards and lotteries and betting, right? And so at a fundamental level, what the whole idea here is, what if we could combine the excitement of these unhealthy tools with the behavior of the healthy tools into something that is addicting and fun, but is actually financially healthy for you to use. That's what this is all about. It's all about helping people become more financially healthy by making saving money as fun as playing the lottery. And so that's at like a missional level is the core idea. At an implementation level, the way that works is, yes, I think pretty close to what Talon was mentioning. The implementation of it is that you can create no loss prize pools where people can deposit money
and the interest is distributed instead of being like earned incrementally by each person. The interest is distributed, and there's a lot of research on this that shows a lot of academic research on this that shows that people who are given the opportunity to deposit into a no-loss prize savings account will do that as opposed to buying a lottery ticket if they have the option to do it. But most people don't have the option to do it.
Yeah, no, especially in the US. I feel like I was talking to someone the other day from maybe it was Australia or something, and there's like, yeah, the majority of people actually, use prize-linked savings accounts. It's like it's not even a question.
In the 1964, I think, was when the UK reintroduced it under the name of premium bonds. And so former Commonwealth countries like Australia, New Zealand, etc., they have it. It's also really big in South America. And like you said, it will become bigger in the United States. It wasn't legally, it wasn't federally legalized until 2013. So it's only recently legal in the US.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that. I feel like he had told me that some people that like prefer to actually spend their premium bonds over just like spending cash, which is kind of crazy.
I hadn't heard that.
Like imagine like taking that on and just all of a sudden you get it, the pool gets distributed that day and then you just win. Yeah. That'd be pretty crazy.
So a cool thing on that too, on the premium bonds in the UK. If you go to, I guess it's a little buried, but anyways, we made this video when we launched a USDC prize pool. It's on our Twitter feed. And the video footage is all from when they originally launched the UK premium bonds in like 1964. So it's kind of a fun, like, historical throwback to go Google. If you Google like premium bonds UK 1964, you'll see some really cool throwback stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And just kind of like Talon was doing, like if anyone has any other questions or just comments about the general idea or any other like crypto aspect to it, feel free to drop them in and I'll kind of incorporate it in here. So I guess I was kind of always interested, like how did you come up with the idea or like start building it out, with prize-linked pools in DeFi?
Yeah, well, it really came from like that missional perspective I was talking about of like, it didn't start with like, I want to build a DeFi thing. It started with like, I want to build a financial tool that actually helps people become more financially healthy. And I started researching around that question. That was where I started. And in the course of my research, I learned about, for the first time, no-loss lotteries, prize-linked savings accounts. I had never heard of them before. And I was basically just like, wow, this is a brilliant idea. It's proven to help people save money. And it would work like so much better if it was built on Ethereum. And so that's really how it came up. So it was really it really came more from the missional side of it than than like the DeFi side of it. I mean, when we started, DeFi wasn't even a term.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, that's the way you want it to. You want it to be mission driven. And I think that's a really good product. So I guess more like on more of like a technical level or in the sense of being like more crypto native, I guess. So right now your only like yield source is through Compound, right?
Right.
Now, like throughout the past 6-7 months or whatever, right? The concept of just like yield has been wild, just across all these other platforms and all that stuff, and Yearn vaults and stuff like that. I guess, have you ever considered like allowing maybe within the pool builder to like optimize like where you want to do it, right? Because if you put it through a Yearn vault, that would be optimizing it for you kind of by proxy.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely a really important thing that we need to do. And the pool builder is like a step in that direction. So the vision of the pool builder is like, if you go right now to the builder, you can have like a compound prize pool or like a stake prize pool. But basically the idea is to be like, you could have like compound, Aave, Yearn, etc. So yes, we definitely want to do that. But I would say we've been intentionally very cautious about yield because it's a product that we're trying to design to help people become financially healthy. And with that in mind, like, there's obviously been really high yields, but there's also been, I personally lost some money in the pickle finance die hack, which is funny because I don't really do any of the yield farm stuff, but like I was like, I'm gonna try it. And like I deposited it, and then like within 12 hours it was hacked. And it had been running.
That's really bad. Sorry about that.
But like, if we had been more proactive, or if we had been more aggressive, we could have integrated with Pickle. But then the PoolTogether depositors would have lost all their money. So
right, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good approach. So I guess usually, you know, when I tell people about PoolTogether, I'm like, you know, put a $50, $100 in it. Like, it's literally no loss to you. There is absolutely
Right.
like zero cost to you, and you could just win a lot of money. However, now if I go to deposit $100, right, it might cost me $200
Yeah, it's terrible.
to deposit. So I guess just any kind of comment on layer twos and scaling or gas fees that you guys been thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad situation that we're in, and it's sad too because we've actually the people don't know this, but the protocol has actually become way more gas efficient than it used to be. But gas prices have just gone up so much higher. So I think short term on layer one on Ethereum, there's still some significant optimizations we can make. Specifically, what we can do is batch deposits into the yield source, and that will bring gas down to where PoolTogether will be probably like the cheapest DeFi thing out there to use. So that will help a lot. That's short term. Longer term, obviously, in longer term, I mean like 6 to 12 months. Yeah, L2s or L1s with bridges, like those are both layer 2 scaling solutions or layer 1s. Again, so much jargon. I'm sorry. I think those are both something we're looking a lot at. But yeah, I think the other thing though too is you can also have, obviously, hopefully, our vision that, you know, you mentioned Yoda savings, right? Yeah. And I really like what you're doing. And like, I hope that someday Yoda savings is using the PoolTogether protocol. Like, they should just integrate with the protocol. And so I think hopefully there's people on the front end too, maybe in more custodial ways, who are integrating with the protocol as well and minimizing gas that way too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That'd be really cool. You know, I actually didn't really think about that, but like when you look at Yoda, like what they have to do is they have to work with all the different banks, source it this way. Right. They work with their partner banks. They give it here, do it there, and they're earning, you know, pretty negligible interest rates, honestly, right. compared to, you know, what you could be earning on Compound. So it'd be just so much easier for everybody involved, actually.
Right. Yeah. I definitely don't view them as a competitor. I view them as ultimately a client of the protocol.
Yeah, that's super cool. So I guess kind of like looping in with Yoda. So they're an insured savings account, right? So it's like a USDC pool that might be easier, right? But like with something like the Uni pool, you know, if you wanted to kind of integrate with Yoda, right, it'd have to be insured to some extent. So like, I mean, you could use stuff like Cover Open, I guess, to insure them. But I don't know. Have you put any thought there?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to build PoolTogether as a protocol, so I don't see insurance being at this point like a protocol level thing. I think it's up to the user. So the user can go to Nexus Mutual. The user can go to I don't know what the other insurers are these days and get it. And I do think front ends, like if someone like Yoda was going to integrate, they would probably want to insure their users' deposits. So I do think insurance is going to be an important part of the picture, but it's not a protocol level thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Kind of just, build it on top. Yeah, cool. So I guess not necessarily do with the protocol here, but I feel like I had heard that you lived in a van for like a year.
Yeah, I did. I was when I was starting PoolTogether, I was living in a van, and yeah, that was for pretty much all of 2019. I was living in a van, which was fun. That was great. It was really fun doing all the investor pitches from the van, and it was always a good topic of conversation to bring up.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's kind of interesting from the aspect that, you know, you're building on this DeFi platform and you're completely remote, and you know it's kind of in a sense like a future of work, maybe, right? You know, you were remote before, you know, everyone kind of got pushed to be working remote. So
right. Yeah, it's a good lifestyle. I would encourage it.
Cool. Awesome.
I mean, also, I just want to say too, like, just, you know, I don't know exactly who's on here. I think it's mostly the college audience, but like, I would just really, really encourage you guys to get involved in these protocols, because it really is very open. And like, Discord is where most of these protocols exist, where most of the communities exist, at least. So download Discord, join PoolTogether's Discord, join Compound Finance's Discord, join Aave's Discord, and start participating. And it's the Web3 like I know. I'm sorry for all this jargon, but like building a protocol is very different than building a company. And Jack Dorsey had a quote that's been famous for a while, and I think it was like 10 years ago probably, where he said, Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO of Twitter and Square, and founder of both those companies, that like the corporation is the most effective vehicle to change the world in the 21st century. And that was true at the time, but it's not true anymore. The protocols are actually the most effective vehicle to impact the world. And think about the fact that the biggest startup in the world was started by Satoshi Nakamoto, an anonymous founder. And so I would just really encourage you guys to think about like Web3, think of protocol first, and it is a different paradigm, and get involved now, because I think there's so much opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. No, thank you for that. That was great. Totally agree. Like a year or two ago, I just started joining pretty much every single Discord I could find from a cool project.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
it just kind of spiraled from there. And you just kind of like learn all this cool stuff, and all of a sudden you're following thousands of people on Twitter. But you just learn so much from it, and you're exposed to different like brand new projects and stuff. Like for example, like Discord was how I was exposed to PoolTogether, which was super cool.
Yeah.
So I think right now I'm going to kind of take some Q&A questions here, and I'm just going to kind of go off the top.
Cool.
So the first one isn't related to PoolTogether, but it's, what's your favorite DeFi project besides PoolTogether?
Okay, so my most recent favorite thing is man, it's sort of a niche thing, but basically someone did this thing where it's sort of a Kickstarter situation, but like a tokenized Kickstarter. It was called Essay. If you look up like John Palmer Essay, Google that. Basically what he did is he sold an NFT and people paid Ethereum to get it. And then he used the funds from that to pay himself to write an essay. And then he published the essay as an NFT, and everyone who contributed to it was able to has an ownership stake in that essay, essentially. I just think it's very, very, very cool for a lot of different reasons. So that's super cool. If you want more DeFi stuff, obviously just like Compound Aave are cool just for earning interest. Perpetual protocol is really cool. That's on the XDAI chain. If you want to get away from gas, that's like a trading thing, but it's fun. But I think the most interesting stuff to me right now is around tokenization of physical goods and patronage, like tokenization of like art or whatever, and using that as a way to fund artists. That's the most interesting stuff to me right now.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I think that's super cool. And for anyone that's not sure what an NFT is, it's a non-fungible token. It's basically, like Leighton mentioned, it's tokenizing something like art, or an essay, right? Or like a trading card or something like that. I think we have an NFT channel in the BAF Discord if anyone has any other questions on that. But I think the essay, the essay thing was super cool. It was also published on Mirror, which was awesome to see.
Mirror is very cool. Mirror is also very, very cool. Yeah.
Mirror is basically like Medium, except it's crypto native. You can embed NFTs into it and do other cool stuff like that. Yeah, so I think that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked.
So the next question here is would PoolTogether ever or should they have several pools with different levels for risk appetite? And how do you decide the underlyings? This one's kind of interesting in the sense that, like, there's a lot of different protocols that are kind of coming out, like Idle or Rari, that have, different tranches for risk. But I feel like PoolTogether might be a differentiated product from those.
Yeah, so I think the two things, like, first thing is we definitely don't ever want to have anything that has loss involved. So a fair number of people have been like, hey, why don't you do a pool where it's like 95%, you get 95% of your money back, but 5% goes to the prize, so it's way bigger. That's not interesting. So, but I think maybe what this question is getting at is, like, even within the no loss category, there's also a lot of different ways you can generate yield, and those have different risk profiles associated with them. So our take so far has just been to take the most conservative route possible. And that's what we've done. What we're doing with the pool builder, though, is trying to open it up so that people can use these other yield sources like Idle, Aave, Yearn, et cetera. but they can join those prize pools in a way where they are aware of like what the yield source is. And we've architected the protocol in such a way where like the yield source can't change, which is really important because you don't want people to deposit into something that has one yield and then it switches. So, so in short, I guess the answer would be yes. Within the realm of no loss, we do want to enable people to be able to engage in different yield sources that do have different risk profiles, but we want to keep it to this no loss for sure.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you. The next question on here is are the tickets transferable? Which I think is a quick answer.
Yeah, they are transferable. And how does the protocol identify unique tickets and winners holding them? Yeah, so they're transferable, and so basically we have a data structure where all the ticket balances are tracked, and anytime someone transfers, deposits, withdraws, that data structure gets updated, which is why it's fairly gas expensive to like transfer PoolTogether tickets because that data structure is being updated, and so that is how the winners are chosen. It's based on the tickets they hold, and they are transferable though. It's kind of interesting because technically they're fully fungible, but they're also sort of not because once one wins, it's no longer fungible. So it's an interesting kind of design challenge there.
The other one here is would governments ever adopt them as a national standard for lotteries? Which I think is kind of a far-reaching question, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, well, I mean, they have it. The UK has already. I don't know I don't think it's replaced traditional lotteries, but the premium bonds program in the UK is a government administrated program. And again, that program alone has $100 billion deposited into it in US dollar value over that. So I do think, lotteries have a really interesting history. Lotteries were used to fund the Jamestown colony. That was like that expedition to found the Jamestown colony was funded by a lottery. So lotteries have this really interesting history of being used to fund public goods. And I do hope the protocol, although it's not a lottery, I do hope the protocol at some point could potentially direct some of that yield into these public goods things, which historically has been what lotteries have done. So I definitely think no loss lotteries are something that national governments for sure will want to administrate, and I think they'll be doing that through the PoolTogether protocol.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know about Jamestown. Yeah, maybe the Miami mayor would be interested in that. It's pretty crypto negative.
I'm actually going to Miami this weekend, so I should try and reach out.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, he might. I think he said he's going to allocate some of the reserve, Miami's reserve, into Bitcoin. So, yeah. As for the other questions on here, how many members on your team? I guess you guys have built out a lot of stuff. Is it just you or a few people, or?
Right. So, I mean, the PoolTogether Inc. team. So I want to be very specific about that. The company right now has 6 people. I'm the only one in the United States. There's 4 people in Canada and 1 in Germany. But the team is really much broader than just the company. PoolTogether Inc., the company, which I work for, did start. We did the initial open source work on the protocol, but the team is really much bigger. And so we have, it's a little bit amorphous. And this is very different from building a protocol versus a company. But I would say we have a solid 12 people who are really like on the team. Most of those people don't work for PoolTogether Inc., but they are active contributors to the protocol. So that would be the long-winded answer.
Got it. Cool. Thank you. This one's interesting here. What tax laws govern a no-loss lottery? Is it just like a normal like interest payment, or?
Yeah, it varies by country. It's actually interesting. The UK, again, like they actually exempt no premium bond winnings from taxes, which is a pretty nice perk.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true in the United States. In the United States, I think it would just be taxed. I think it's just taxed as income. I actually don't 100% know. That's something you should ask your tax lawyer. So it's different by country.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. This one I'm not entirely sure what it means about cooperative savings. When people contribute funds and a person gets all of the funds at a time. I guess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that question. So that's a different primitive. It's close, but it's different. Cooperatives are where basically it's like if you and I were like, it doesn't work with two people. It's like if you and 10 of your friends are like, hey, once a month, we're each going to put $10 in, and one person is going to take all of that money once a month. So it's a very popular sort of informal way of savings, and it's also a way to sort of well, I can't remember the words for that, but it's a popular way to informal savings. But the big difference though with the cooperative is all of the principal is going, whereas with no loss lottery, you maintain your principal, so you don't actually that whatever you deposit, you always get back. So I'd say that's the difference.
Cool. Thank you. I wasn't even really sure what a cooperative savings was, but that was super helpful. Okay, these ones on the bottom here are a little bit more interesting too. I think you had mentioned that you were pitching investors and stuff. So have you guys raised any money?
Yeah, so we've raised a total of like $2.5 million through 2 different investment rounds. IDO led our first one, and Parify led our second one. So we have raised VC money. We do not make any money. So our prerogative right now is just focusing on the protocol. And so therefore we're not monetizing at all, because we don't want to monetize the protocol. The idea though is that once the protocol, and this is sort of what I was talking about, once the protocol is sufficiently decentralized, and once it sort of exists bigger than just our company, we as PoolTogether Inc. can pivot to building products on top of the protocol, which is sort of the standard sort of open source software model that you have, even in like Web 2 world with like Linux and things like that. So that's so we have raised money, but that we don't make any money. And then are there plans for mobile app? This sort of gets into that too. We're not working on a mobile app. I really hope someone makes a mobile app that integrates with the protocol. And if you're on this call, maybe you should do it. But what we're trying to really focus on is the underlying protocol. So I guess one way to think about this is like the hope in 5 years is that our relationship to the protocol is the same as Coinbase's relationship to Bitcoin, right? So you can use Coinbase to buy Bitcoin, but you can also buy it on Gemini. You can buy it on Square Cash. You can buy it on PayPal. In the same way, in 5 years, the hope would be that you could use the PoolTogether protocol through Yoda Savings, through Coinbase, through your local bank, through your government program. You could have all these different access points to the protocol, and one of those might be one that we operate as a company. But that's different from the protocol, which is decentralized, not controlled by us. So I think that hits on most of it. And then I feel like I'm talking a lot. But this last question real quick is PoolTogether hiring. I just want to hit on that. We're not hiring as a company, but as a protocol, we definitely need more people contributing to it. And if you can come and contribute early, then you're going to be in a place to create a lot of value. And so no, we're not hiring as a company, but you should join the PoolTogether Discord. And there's a lot of ways you can start contributing as a person who's building on the protocol.
Yeah, I think that kind of just applies in general across all of like Web3 crypto stuff. Yes. Kind of come in, put in the upfront work to help with the protocol, and then usually good stuff will happen. Whether you build something else or you kind of start working for the company and stuff. And we've kind of been seeing that a lot over the past like 6 months across a lot of different protocols. The other one on here is, what do you think DeFi will become mainstream? And I think this kind of ties into a question that I had. And I think we've kind of already like answered it a little bit in the sense that like, what if PoolTogether like really starts working over the next 5 years, where like a ton of people are starting to use it and you're integrating with governments and all that stuff, right? Then yeah, it does bring people mainstream. But I guess just any thought you had on that?
Yeah. So when do I think it'll be mainstream? I mean, I think it's definitely happening this year. Like mainstream, but obviously it's a spectrum. But it's happening in earnest. But I think what it's going to look like is I don't think in 5 years like PoolTogether is going to be a famous name and all that. But what I do think is that you might be like, oh, I'm in my Square Cash app and there's now this new thing where I can like have a chance to win a prize just by putting my money into it. I'm going to do that. And on the back end, that's going to be PoolTogether. That's going to be the protocol that's being integrated into it. So I think the future is like DeFi, decentralized finance, and traditional finance are really going to merge in a lot of ways, where the back end is going to be the decentralized finance, the protocols, and the front ends will likely be a lot of the same front ends you're used to interacting with now. Your banks, PayPal, Cash App, just in the same way that you see it happening now, right? Like you can buy Bitcoin on PayPal. In the same way, I think in a few years, you'll be able to deposit into PoolTogether on PayPal. It might not be called PoolTogether. It might just be called PayPal Prize Savings.
Yeah, no, I love that vision. That would be fantastic. Well, okay, yeah, another question just came in that I'd already been thinking of. I was just going to ask you actually. Was you know, what you said, once the protocol is sufficiently decentralized, you know, you're going to move on to building on top of it. What does sufficiently decentralized mean and look like for you? You know, this question here is, you know, do you think a DAO would be the best way to govern it? Maybe that kind of kicks it off.
Yeah, so I mean, sufficient decentralization, again, it's a little bit of it's a spectrum for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess sufficient decentralization isn't, but anyways, I think there's two main things you look at. The first is the protocol itself. Is it growing consistently? Like essentially, do you have product market fit? It's sort of a standard startup type of assessment. Like, is it growing? Are people using it? Is it getting integrated into more places? Like that's important. The other piece is the community. Are there more people who care about this than just the people who started it? Is the community growing? Are there more people contributing to it? Are there people who are, you know, voluntarily doing things? When you have both those things, that's when you're in a stage where you're saying, okay, we can now say that these few people who initially wrote some code that helped get this thing started are no longer essential and are no longer crucial to the operation of this protocol. And therefore, this is sufficiently decentralized. I think that's really where we're at right now with PoolTogether. We just launched the V3 12 weeks ago. That was a big test. The community's really stepped up. The growth has really been really good. And we really feel right now we're at a place where it's like, okay, this is much bigger than just us.
So, yeah. So like with that, you think like maybe like in the next like 6 months, year plus or whatever, like you would be pivoting to build on top of it, or I see you're showing your painting there.
Biggest question. You're not picky, but I saw this question. So, yeah, I would hope. Yes, I would definitely hope this year. Yeah. Okay. I think that's reasonable. But I wanted to say, actually, the reason I showed this stuff because I want to say something. Who did this painting actually has been doing some NFTs. I actually bought one of his NFTs, and he's been talking about tokenizing his paintings. So if you're interested, you should find Jeff Krause on Twitter and tell him you're interested in buying a tokenized painting because he's been working on that.
Love it. So, love it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess like we just talked about, you know, when you guys are like pivoting away from the protocol, but on the actual protocol level, I know you guys literally just shipped V3 12 weeks ago or whatever that was, but Leighton,
Lucas, I can
okay, cool. Sorry, I wasn't sure. I guess do you guys have any like cool like product like being released, like coming or anything like in the pipeline that you're going to release with over the next like 3, 6, 8 months that you'd be happy to share with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the stuff that we just released is a lot of stuff that we've been working on for a while. The prize pool builder and the loot boxes. I think going into the future, it's a lot of it is around the stuff that we talked about, which is like integrating more yield sources. Like right now, we don't want to just be a yield source on top of Compound. We want it to be a gamification layer on top of a bunch of yield protocols. So integrating more yield sources for sure. And then obviously scalability, meaning reducing gas costs are huge. People are asking about airdrops. I mean, I think with tokenized governance and with airdrops, I think the heart of that is perfect. It's awesome, right? I think the heart of it is like making users owners. And that is a very, very powerful and very cool concept. I think that there still is a lot of work to do in terms of like, how do you actually design that and implement that in a way where that dream becomes reality and it doesn't just become like making people who have a ton of money to drop into the protocol owners. So that's sort of my high level take on like tokenization stuff is like, I think it's super promising, but I think it needs to be done in a way that achieves the goals it's actually promising. Quadratic airdrop. That's an interesting idea.
I
like it.
Talking about like, like fair airdrops or whatever, I think the common one is just everyone gets a flat rate. Like if they used it, they get the flat amount of token, right? So that way, like, whales don't get a ton of voting power within it. But I don't think we've seen a quadratic airdrop yet. So
it's hard. It's hard. Yeah. There's always ways, because now people expect it. So they, if you look at the blockchain, you can see there's people who like deposit like 20, you'll see like 20 deposits, all basically the same size within like 10 minutes. And it's like, that's obviously someone who's just trying to like game the system. So people always try and game it.
Definitely. And there's always ways to do it. I guess in the event where like, there would be some form of governance on top of PoolTogether. I think it's kind of different than a lot of other protocols in the sense where like, like say if you were governing what pools were released, well, you guys just released Pool Builder, so anyone can release a pool anyway, right? So I don't know, like if there was to be like some form of governance, like what would you imagine them, kind of voting on?
Well, there's definitely, so I do think there's precedent for this somewhat, right? Like Uniswap, for example, right? Anyone can go and create a Uniswap trading pair. They can go and create a builder, but only a certain set of Uniswap trading pairs show up by default on uniswap.org, right? So in the same way, anyone can go and create a PoolTogether prize pool, but I do think there's going to be a role for a governance, whether that governance is us or whether it's a broader set of stakeholders, for curating that, right? To say like, okay, anyone can create a prize pool, but which ones are the ones that we want to show on the app when people go and see it? And which ones are the ones that we sort of want to endorse and say like, this is a safe one, this is approved one, this is like has our stamp of approval. So I think that's interesting. And then governing individual prize pools is also interesting. We've done some governance votes to say like, hey, let's change the number of winners. Instead of having one winner, let's have like 5 winners. So there are, I think what's interesting about PoolTogether is in some ways it's, I think, more fun. Maybe I'm biased, but I think it's more fun to govern than a lot of other protocols because it's like, it's prizes. And like, who doesn't want to, like, everyone wants to do, like, it's just fun. Like, how many prizes do you want to have? How often do you want the prizes to happen? Those types of things. So, I do see room for governing individual prize pools and then deciding which prize pools does governance want to govern and which prize pools are just, they're built on the protocol, but they're totally independent.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, no, I know it was a good answer. So I know we've talked about like layer 2 a lot, but talking about like the one question here was like specific ones. But I think I had seen something with a hackathon and Solana with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So and you guys were kind of like sponsoring it or doing something, integrating with it or something like that.
No, not. But no, you're right. But that's not. Basically, I'm just judging in my personal capacity. The PoolTogether thing. It's just they asked me if I would judge, and I said yes. And like I'm happy to support it. I'm excited. I honestly couldn't really tell you anything about Solana. So I don't know that much about it. I'm excited for scalability. I think we're going to live in a multi-blockchain future. I'm not like a crazy ETH maximalist, but don't interpret that as like we're about to move over.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because like usually like, that when you like approach like layer 2, you could go to something like XDAI, maybe go on Matic or something like that, right? Like a sidechain for Ethereum, or, you could bridge out onto another network. And, it sounds like you guys are considering all the options. So.
Yeah, all the options. I mean, we'll probably wait a little, like there's definitely a second mover advantage to this type of stuff because there's strong network effects and so I want to answer this question real quick because I think it's an interesting one. Does PoolTogether have restrictions on participation based on geographic location? So I think that's interesting because it's really important to differentiate like the protocol versus the interface. So the interface that we host, which currently is the one at app.pooltogether.com, does have some restrictions to comply with KYC, not KYC, but anti-money laundering regulations that you have to comply with in the United States. So we have that. The protocol itself has no restrictions. It operates on Ethereum. You can access it anywhere. You can access it through different interfaces. You don't have to go to app.pooltogether.com to deposit into the PoolTogether protocol. And so, yes, we, on the interface we operate, we have some restrictions. The protocol does not have any restrictions. And again, that's the power of decentralized finance.
Yeah, no, you know, sometimes when I look at a new application, like in DeFi, like sometimes they will add geographic restrictions to it, which I always kind of think is an interesting thing, because like I could just go on Etherscan and interact directly with the contract if I really wanted to, right? I guess it's more so to protect the user, you know, from any like possible regulations coming, but it definitely makes you think more about what you're gonna do. So
well, compliance usually happens at the interface level, so that's why usually who's ever operating the interface has to comply with whatever regulations there are in that country they live in.
Right. Oh, this is a pretty good one here. Any plans on hosting it onto IPFS, or maybe Filecoin or something? But
yeah, that'd be cool. I brought this up to our CTO a little bit ago, and he was like, "No," he's like, "We're not ready for that." I think it's because IPFS is not quite ready yet. I haven't looked that much into IPFS. Conceptually, I would love to have it hosted there. I honestly don't know. And I would hope someone does. I would hope someone does it, and hopefully we don't have to do that. Again, like that would be our goal, is that it would be hosted in a lot of places and not just, but we wouldn't be the people who are doing it. That's far more decentralized and redundant. If
yeah, no, definitely. Maybe who I can't see who asked that question, but maybe they can host an IPFS. I think Tornado, I think Tornado Cash had hosted their front end on IPFS a while ago. So yeah.
Yeah, that might be right. Yeah, I haven't looked into that. I didn't use Tornado Cash. Wasn't a part of that airdrop.
Yeah. I had gotten a question a little bit ago directly about the are the tickets transferable again? And I think the answer was yeah, they are transferable. Just to clear that up there.
They're transferable.
Yeah,
good questions.
Yeah, I think
this is great.
You know, I think it's kind of all the questions from the community. That's all the questions I personally had. You know, if I find any more, you know, I'm just gonna go to the Discord and kind of ask the community there. And I encourage anyone else in the chat to do that as well.